How the wicked king met his death. Let me ask you this. What becomes of a king who forgets his people? What becomes of a ruler who feeds on fear, who takes joy in suffering? Some say such men live forever protected by their power, but this story proves otherwise.
It is the tale of a wicked king, a man who thought himself greater than the gods.
But in the end, it was not swords or warriors that defeated him. It was the earth itself. And I promise you this, the moment the ground swallows him will shock you. Once this land was rich and joyful. The people sang in the markets, children laughed in the streets, and the fields overflowed with food. But then came a king, proud, greedy, and cruel. At first, the people celebrated him. A strong ruler will protect us, they said. But soon they realized their mistake. The king demanded heavy taxes. He took food from the poor, gold from the traders, even children from families to serve in his palace. Those who resisted disappeared into dark dungeons, never to be seen again. Tell me, what would you do if you lived under such a ruler? Would you fight, or would you bow your head in silence? The people wept. They begged the ancestors for mercy. But the land itself seemed to suffer under the king's wickedness. The rains grew weak. The rivers shrank into mud. The crops refused to grow. Hunger spread like a shadow across the land. One night the elders gathered around a fire. They said, "The ancestors have turned away. The king's cruelty has poisoned even the earth." But when they sent messengers to warn him, the king only laughed. "Fools," he roared. "I am greater than the ancestors. I am greater than the gods themselves." And in the crowd that day, an old woman lifted her voice. Her hair was white as snow, her eyes sharp as lightning. "Listen well, king," she said. "A ruler who eats his people's joy will one day be eaten by the earth." The king's face darkened with rage. "Seize her," he shouted. But when the guards reached out, she vanished into the wind. From that day, strange things began to happen. Thunder rolled when the skies were clear. Lightning struck near the palace, but never near the villages. Cracks split open in the palace walls, no matter how many times the king's men repaired them. The animals grew restless. Birds refused to nest near the palace. Dogs howled at night, staring at the throne room. The people whispered, "The curse is coming, the earth is angry." But the king only grew prouder. He stood before his guards and shouted, "Look at me, am I not untouchable? Can the ground fight against me?" And yet, every night he woke in fear, dreaming of hands pulling him into the earth. It happened on a day like no other. The sky was strangely still, the air heavy, as though holding its breath. The king sat on his throne, dressed in golden robes, his crown shining like fire. Around him his courtiers bowed, afraid to speak. Suddenly, a deep rumble shook the floor. Boom, boom, boom. The pillars trembled. The walls groaned. The people outside screamed as the ground split open in the marketplace. Inside the palace, the king rose to his feet. "What trick is this?" he roared. But no man answered, for it was no trick. The ground beneath his throne split wide. The king stumbled, his golden crown slipping. "Help me!" he screamed. His guards rushed to him, pulling at his arms. But the earth pulled harder. Slowly, his feet sank into the ground, up to his ankles, up to his knees. "Pull me out!" he cried, his voice cracking with terror. And then, a voice rolled through the palace, louder than thunder. It was the voice of the old woman echoing from the earth itself. "A king who eats his people's joy will be eaten by the earth." The guards let go, trembling with fear. The people outside watched in awe as the king sank deeper, waist, chest, shoulders, until with one final scream, he disappeared. The earth closed over him. Silence fell. Only his crown remained, lying on the ground, empty. The very next day, rain fell upon the land. The rivers filled. The crops sprouted green. The earth was alive once more. The people gathered in the square and placed the fallen crown on a stone. They told their children, "Remember this story. No matter how high a wicked man rises, the earth itself will bring him down." And to this day, the tale is told across villages. Not all kings are remembered for their thrones. Some are remembered for how the earth swallowed them. So tell me, my friend, do you think justice always comes? This story says yes. It may not come today, it may not come tomorrow, but like the thunder before the rain, justice always finds its way. This is the voice of Africa. Subscribe and let us keep telling the stories that remind us of who we are and who we must never become.